Let's speak up, step up, and stand up. Let's refuse to shut up until the Equal Rights Amendment is no longer held up. Let's ramp up and sister up for the change we deserve and the equality
we should have been born into,
so that our daughters and their daughters will lead. Let's shake up and stand up and woman up. Right now.
Hello, good people. This is so exciting. Welcome to the ERA Coalition's The Time Is Now premiere. I am Barbara Streisand. That's not true. I'm Kathy and Jimmy, and I'm delighted to be with you here tonight. We are Zooming together, which is kind of like being in person together, but without the hugs and the masks and the spanks. Thank goodness. The ERA Coalition has a $1 million goal this year. Don't we all? And there are many ways to give and be a part of this movement. It's been a long time in the making, people, and a long time coming. But if I know y'all, and I think I do, you will be moved to give in the name of equality and what's just. There will be a link provided throughout the evening, so feel free to click at any time. You see it? Yep, go ahead, click right now. We'll wait. I also welcome our live chat hosts. If you're watching on the East Coast, where I am, I see one of you partying right now across the street in that apartment. It's Gloria. Hi, Gloria. She's watching a sitcom. She's so cute. We are also joined by ERA Advisory Council co-chair, the fabulous, powerfully committed, smart human, Jamia Wilson. If you're watching on the West Coast, we are joined by ERA board member Alyssa Milano. Alyssa, you have devoted your entire being to the ERA. We're so grateful. Feel free to comment and chat with Jamia and Alyssa throughout the program, but of course, not while I'm talking. Thank you so much. Before we get started, let me tell you why we're here. 100 years ago, when I was born, suffragette and kick-ass feminist Alice Paul introduced the Equal Rights Amendment to Congress 100 years ago. It's so brave and so prophetic. 50 years ago today, the ERA was finally passed by Congress and sent to the individual states for ratification. Amendments to the U.S. Constitution require 3/4 of the states to pass. 2 years ago, the last needed state, number 38, there's no name, we're not going to give it a name, it just likes to go by 38. Thank you, 38, because you passed the ERA. And now the requisite 2-year waiting period has expired, and the ERA is set to become the 28th Amendment to our Constitution. Ow, that was my thumb. That scared me too. But they sent me the gavel, and I'm not going to mess with the ERA gods. So tonight, we honor and we acknowledge the 50th anniversary of the ERA's introduction to Congress and celebrate some real heroes of the movement. The amazing Congresswoman Jackie Speer and Chairwoman Carolyn Maloney, and one of the greatest beings of all time, Carol Jenkins. I hear your applause through the ether. And a tribute to the late Senator Birch Bayh. Special thanks to our 50th anniversary sponsors and co-chairs, Janet Montag, Fran Zone, and Mona Sinha. Mona literally is everywhere. Everywhere equality is needed, everywhere at once, like Superwoman. Thank you so much to our corporate chair, Margaret Anadu, the 50th anniversary co-chairs, the host committee, and the ERA Coalition's board and advisory council for everything, for all of your efforts in making tonight's celebration a reality. We'd also like to thank our 28th Amendment sponsors, as well as all of them, all of our contributors. Thank you. Women have gotten some rights through the decades, little lifesavers doled out once in a while. But as we know, as the patriarchy soars, it continues to darken true, full equality by continuing to hold back the ERA, equal rights. But here's the good news. Now it's time to unite and demand that we are all legally protected. Here's a quick recap of the history of the ERA. It's only 1 minute, so don't run to get your snacks quite yet. You're going to like this one.
For the last 50 years, we've been striving to make women part of the Constitution, something that is true in every other democracy in the world. I've been around for every one of those years, and I want to be here to celebrate victory. With your help, we can do this together.
Ah, Gloria. We love Gloria. Where would we be without Gloria? I mean, who gets a co-leader of a movement who's not only brilliant, brave, inspiring, talented, effective, and never gives up, but also really rocks a delicious motorcycle belt and is one of the most hilarious, fun hangs in existence? We do. Gloria, they say they love you. I love you the most. Okay. Now, let's watch a little bit more about the history of the ERA from the Coalition's Advisory Council co-chairs, Camille Massey, founding executive director of the Sorensen Center for International Peace and Justice, and Jamia Wilson, an activist, a feminist, a storyteller, a media maker, and a thought leader. That's a great title for her, thought leader or queen.
As of January 27, 2022, the Equal Rights Amendment has satisfied all requirements to be added as the 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. However, getting it published, along with the rest of the Constitution by the archivist, and then implementing and defending it will be and is being met with nonstop challenges from institutionalized patriarchy.
The last few years, we've seen a flurry of activity around the Equal Rights Amendment, due mainly to the efforts of Black women in the last 3 ratifying states, Nevada, Illinois, and Virginia. But we wouldn't have gotten to this point were it not for the dogged efforts of a senator who lobbied for sex equality for years. Senator Birch Bayh was instrumental in the ERA's passage. After several congressional sessions passed with the amendment not making it out of committee, or having so many provisions added to it as to make it ineffective. It was the senator's persistence in reintroducing the amendment and strategically advocating on behalf of sex equality in several pieces of consequential legislation that finally got the Equal Rights Amendment passed by the Senate and sent to states for ratification. And for that persistence, we're so grateful.
It has been 100 years since the ERA was first proposed, and 50 years since its passage in Congress. And still, it has not been officially added to the Constitution. Thank you, Senator Bayh, for getting us to where we are today. Let's get this done.
Hi, my name is Birch Bayh. I'd like to have you vote for Senate.
I have faith in our democracy. I have faith in the principles of our form of government, the ability of our people to solve their own problems, to govern themselves. And I also have a deep belief that each of us have a responsibility in this country to do what we can to serve our country and to make our state, our nation, our individual communities better places in which to live.
My kind of guy. His first name is Birch, his last name is Bayh. Candidate for senator of our Hoosier state. For Indiana, he will do more than anyone.
One historian says that's what won you the election.
When you win it by 2 votes, the name got out there. It's Birch Bayh, Birch Bayh.
Thank you for remembering the work of my late husband, Birch Bayh. Birch always believed that each of us is here for just a moment in time, a moment to make a difference, and that at some point we must all pass the baton to future generations. Alice Paul effectively passed the baton to Birch Bayh and Congresswoman Martha Griffiths. They, in the 92nd Congress, by overwhelming majorities, got the Equal Rights Amendment passed 50 years after she first proposed it. But there's another anniversary I want to remember this month. It was on a March day in 1776 when Abigail Adams wrote her now famous letter. With her husband John at the Continental Congress writing what would become the Declaration of Independence, Abigail understood her moment. She wrote, quote, "By the way, in the new code of laws which I suppose it will be necessary for you to make, I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors have been," close quote. John didn't remember. His cohorts didn't remember. But if you'll allow me to say, Birch remembered. He led his Constitutional Amendment Subcommittee through 2 years of hearings, countless witnesses from the public and private sectors, and over 800 pages of testimony supporting the legal, economic, and social imperatives for women's equal rights. That, by the way, was the same year Birch passed Title IX, his 37 words, 1 sentence long, that is now called the Magna Carta of women's education. Why can't we do for women in our Constitution, in the courts, what we've done for them in education, what the Congress and the states are already on record as saying they want? Why can't we, in Birch's words, give the women of our country tangible evidence of our commitment as a nation to true equality? In closing, let's remember a less quoted part of Abigail's letter for the ages. She said, "John, if particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion." Thank you, ERA Coalition. Thank you, everyone, for continuing the rebellion.
Oh, Birch Bayh, you're our kind of guy. What a great advocate. Thank you, Birch Bayh. And thank you to your really smart wife for advocating for women. And you did it at a time when I'm sure you didn't have a lot of support. And we honor you forever and ever and ever. Okay. Yay, Congress. Pay attention to the ladies like Birch did, right? All right. So finally, the day has come. The archivist can take the step to publish the ERA to the Constitution whenever he wants, now. Or Congress can vote to remove the time limit on the amendment. Come on, Congress. All of the requirements for a constitutional amendment have been met. Everything is shiny and new and in order. People just need to finally pull the damn plug and make it official. so sorry. That is so annoying. I'm going gavel goofy. Okay. The ramifications of the ERA, coupled with the Me Too movement, have encouraged the corporate sector to take more responsibility, to be more inclusive of women, to elevate women, especially women of color. I'm excited to introduce our next guest, Margaret Anadoo, the brains behind Goldman Sachs' 1 Million Black Women Fund. Brilliant. This fund includes $10 billion from Goldman Sachs to narrow opportunity gaps for Black women over the next decade. Well done, Margaret, and thank you. Here to talk about the importance of corporate responsibility with the amazing Margaret is one of tonight's fabulous honorees, President of the ERA Coalition and my pal, the incomparable or incomparable, depending what coast you're on, Carol Jenkins.
Margaret, thanks so much for joining us today. I am just bowled over by this project that you've been managing. 20,000 women, Black women that you've had conversations with about their status in America. Can you tell us what did they say to you?
Sure. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me, Carol. So we have, in the context of this initiative that we announced just a little bit over a year ago, called 1 Million Black Women, where we're investing $10 billion of investment capital alongside $100 million of philanthropy to narrow opportunity gaps for at least 1 million Black women over the last decade.
So important for a financial institution like Goldman to undertake this because you are talking about wealth. Now, in the nonprofit world, we always talk about pay equity. Mm-hmm. Pay, that it's unequal. The Black woman, 63 cents to the white man's dollar. It hasn't changed in 30 years. That's sort of our mantra. Every single year that comes around. But you're talking about something else. You're talking about wealth dissonance, so to speak, and tell us why you concentrate on wealth as opposed to pay.
The reason why we wanted to focus on wealth is, at least for us, it represented a stat that really aggregates all these various issues. So if you think about what goes into that wealth gap, it's the pay gap, as you mentioned, and I agree as well. But it's around your access to healthcare. It's around home ownership and having, equity in a house that you can use to start a business or send your kids to college. And so being able to really talk about a number to really get people's attention and understand the gravity of the challenges we're talking about, but also be able to unpack it in all of the causes of that wealth gap, we thought was incredibly helpful. And so at the end of the day, if you do not have wealth, if you do not have savings, it is hard to stomach the everyday challenges, a broken down car, a health issue of a loved one, being out of work for a period of time. That requires wealth, that requires savings, that requires having the finances to not only, get through day-to-day life, but also be able to invest.
Right. Well, Margaret, thank you so much for the work you do and for being in this conversation today. We can't wait to see, the fullness of this project. It's a major, significant, very important endeavor. And thanks so much for doing it.
Thank you so much for having me.
A brilliant and important project. If you don't have the means to get through your day-to-day life for you and your family, that is unacceptable. This is a brilliant, brilliant project, and I think we all should stand behind it with a lot of hope and a lot of support. This is living your life with intention and getting stuff done. All I did today was, get up at noon and have a bubble tea. So I'm really moved by this. All right, y'all, who's on board for a little dance break? Here to sing their revolutionary change song, Gangway. Give it up for my friends, the feminist rock band, Betty.
Just stride through the square, in tri-colored rags, fist in the air, hair your flag. Did you now? Did you now? Just rise in the street, face in the crowd. March to the beat.
March to the beat.
Did your faith make you proud?
Is it time now?
To take cover.
Is it time now?
To draw the blinds.
Is it time now?
For bread and water. Too late. No sweet cakes, no wine. Gangway. Grab your gang for the revolution. Take a stand for the revolution. When the people demand. Gangway. Pauline and Claire drove a king from his lair. Just think that your dreams could rip holes in the air. Did you now?
Did you now?
Did you now?
Did you now?
Just wait for a sign.
Wait for a sign.
Hate to delay. Pray for a sign.
Pray for a sign.
Like Charlotte Corday.
Is it time now?
Take cover.
Is it time now?
Draw the blinds.
Is it time now?
For bread and water. Too late. No sweet cakes, no wine. Gangway. Grab your gang for the revolution. Take a stand for the revolution. When the people demand. Gangway. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Praise the fact. Outrageous rebellion start with everyday acts. On a bridge, on a bus, or under attack. Stronger together, we will never go back. Gangway, gangway. Grab your gang for the revolution. Take a stand for the revolution. When the people demand. Gangway, gangway.
Gangway, make way for the revolution. Everybody, thank you so much, Betty. Thank you. They have been singing the truth for years now. Okay, up next is a really loud truck. Okay, up next is a powerhouse in Congress, Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She is a badass who will be honoring two other powerhouses, Chairwoman Carolyn Maloney from New York and Congresswoman Jackie Speer from California, both of who are being honored tonight for their tireless efforts on behalf of our ERA.
Good evening. Thank you, Kathy Najimy, for your kind introduction. As Speaker, it is my privilege to bring greetings from the House to the ERA Coalition as you commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Equal Rights Amendment's passage through the Congress, honoring 5 decades spent fighting to secure women's rightful place in our communities, our workplaces, and our Constitution. I join you in saluting the leadership of your President and CEO, Carol Jenkins, and the late Senator Birch Bayh, as well as celebrating the generations of American women who have marched and mobilized to advance the Equal Rights Amendment. It is my pleasure to join in honoring 2 remarkable leaders who have led this charge in the House, Chairwoman Carolyn Maloney of New York and Chairwoman Jackie Speer of California. Driven but never daunted by the systemic inequalities that still plague our nation, these devoted leaders have offered their time and talents in the fight to finally enshrine gender equality in the Constitution. For more than 25 years, Chairwoman Maloney has served as our Chamber's lead sponsor of the ERA, carrying on the legacy of pioneer advocates who first proposed an Equal Rights Amendment a century ago. And Chairwoman Jackie Speer, a co-chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus and my fellow Californian, has offered renewed hope, introducing legislation proudly passed by the House last year to remove the ERA's arbitrary, unnecessary time limit for ratification, as well as a resolution this winter acknowledging that the ERA has met all legal requirements to be recognized as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. Chairwoman Maloney, Chairwoman Speer, it is a privilege to call you my colleagues. On behalf of Congress and the country, thank you for your decades of bold advocacy on behalf of America's women, and best wishes for a lovely evening. Thank you.
There is no time limit on equality.
Since the beginning of her career, Chairwoman Carolyn B. Maloney has been a champion of the Equal Rights Amendment. She helped envision and advance the creation of the ERA Coalition to ensure that the ERA had a strong voice in Washington, D.C. As a mother and a former educator, she understands the importance of access to education, affordable childcare, and family paid leave. And she knows that the ERA will help pave the way to permanent access to these.
The document that the Supreme Court interprets and that we interpret in Congress should include equality and protections for women. It's that simple.
In her own words, change doesn't come easy, but it will come if you never quit. And today we want to thank her for never quitting on equality and the ERA.
Thank you so much to the ERA Coalition. It is such an honor to receive this Champions of Equality Award. Thank you also to Speaker Pelosi and my colleague Jackie Speer for your persistence on the Equal Rights Amendment. The ERA Coalition has been an unwavering and essential advocate of the ERA for years. There are so many wonderful women's groups in the movement, but it's vital to have one group that is solely dedicated to the ERA. Your work has revitalized the fight and gotten us within inches of having the ERA finally cemented in the U.S. Constitution once and for all. Thank you for your incredible efforts. Thank you also to my dear friends Gloria Steinem and Jenkins, who are also being recognized tonight. Your relentless advocacy for the ERA across decades has been an inspiration to me. I count myself lucky to have worked alongside brilliant women like you. I urge advocates like Jessica Neuwirth to start the ERA Coalition because there are so many things that I, even in my position as a Congresswoman, just could not accomplish on my own. And now, thanks to the hard work of so many who never gave up the fight and refused to surrender, we're closer than we've ever been. Despite all odds, we managed to meet the requirements of Article 5. We got 38 states to ratify the amendment. It took decades of hard work by so many ERA advocates on the ground in Nevada, Illinois, and Virginia, but we did it. My promise to you tonight is that I will not stop fighting until I see the ERA certified and printed in the U.S. Constitution. When that's done, everything we have worked so hard to achieve will be worth it. Thank you again for your continued commitment to equality and for this award tonight. Thank you.
Our message here today is quite simple. We want in. We want in the Constitution of the United States of America.
That ERA champion that wants in, Jackie Speer, always gets in. And what's beautiful about it, she'll bring all of us with her. She's unique. She shows up. She includes everyone. It's just in her DNA. Jackie Speer is the best friend we could want and have, and we're so close to passing ERA. Let's make a promise to her and all of us that by the time her term is up next year, we'll all be in the Constitution together. It's time.
Congresswoman Jackie Speer is a fearless leader. She understands that to neutralize sex and gender discrimination in our nation, we must include the ERA in our Constitution as the 28th Amendment.
We're going to just strike the deadline altogether
I'm proud to have worked alongside Congresswoman Jackie Speer to ensure that we have a more equitable nation for everyone. And on behalf of the ERA Coalition, I want to thank her for her hard work and commitment to true equality for all.
Good evening, ERA Coalition, and to all of you sheroes and women warriors, as well as our male allies, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Congress passing the ERA. Thank you for the incredible honor of receiving one of ERA Coalition's Champion of Equality Awards. It's been a privilege to be on the front lines of this fight with you. And there's no one I'd rather be on the battlefield with than my fellow honorees, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, our fearless and talented leader of the coalition, Carol Jenkins, and the father of Title IX, the late Senator Birch Bayh. Rest assured that Carol, and I will continue to lock arms until we see the ERA in the Constitution. We must stop at nothing less. Your theme this year, "The Time Is Now," could not be more on point, because the time is now for the ERA to be recognized as the 28th Amendment. The time is actually past for women to be treated equally with the dignity and respect they deserve. The time is now to close the gender wage gap, end pregnancy discrimination, and protect victims' rights. The time is now for equal justice under the law. We've been in this fight for a century, standing on the shoulders of Alice Paul, Martha Griffiths, Shirley Chisholm, and our own Gloria Steinem and Ellie Smeal, both of whom continue to be on that battlefield with us, and so many others. But we've never gotten this close. With 38 states having ratified the ERA, and with House passage of my bill to remove the arbitrary time limit for ratification, mark my words, we are going to get this done. We will settle for nothing less. It's really quite simple. Women want in the Constitution. We won't give up until we get there. The time is now.
Such respect and thanks to the chair and Congresswoman. Congratulations and job well done. Jackie, you can now officially retire. All right, up next, we have the ERA Coalition and the Fund for Women's Equality Board Chairs, Kimberly Peeler-Allen, founder of Higher Heights. It's an organization that is dedicated to electing and supporting Black women's leadership in politics. Brilliant. And Mona Sinha, board chair of Women Moving Millions. No, it's not a thing where women push stacks of dough around. Women Moving Millions is a community of women who fund big and bold projects to create a gender equal world. So impressive.
What a night. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for joining us to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Equal Rights Amendment passing out of the House and the Senate and then going to the states for ratification. It has been quite a 50 years for sure, and we are so grateful to President and CEO of the ERA Coalition and Fund for Women's Equality, Carol Jenkins, for leading us in this latest surge and movement towards actually codifying the Equal Rights Amendment to become the 28th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. I cannot say enough about Carol and the work that she has done as our president and CEO. When she first joined in this role, we may have had about 50 coalition partners. We are now over 200. She was instrumental, boots on the ground with the legislators in Virginia to help them pass the Equal Rights Amendment in the Virginia state legislature, making it the 38th state. And she has been a constant voice on Capitol Hill with our House and Senate friends to try and lift the timeline or the time limit on the Equal Rights Amendment, and we're just so grateful for her leadership. She is dogged, to say the least. And I knew that firsthand when I first met her in 2016 at the Democratic National Convention. We were in a huge hall, and she found me and she said, I think you should be involved in this thing that I'm working on, the Equal Rights Amendment. And over the next several months, she called me regularly and talked to me about the work, about how I could be involved, and why she wanted me to join the board. And eventually I did in 2018. And then with her support, I became board chair in 2020, and for that I am eternally grateful. But thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Carol. Thank you for all that you have done to move this work forward. We are so excited about where we are as an organization, where we are as a movement, and what is coming in the future. And so much of that has to do with your leadership. And I'm also very grateful to have been introduced to my dear friend, Mona Sinha, who serves as chair of the Fund for Women's Equality. And we work hand in hand to move the movement and the message of the Equal Rights Amendment forward as we work across the country to do this. And I'm so grateful for her friendship and partnership in this work. Mona?
Thank you, Kimberly. It gives me so much joy to be doing this work with you as my partner. We are so grateful to our co-chairs, Gloria Steinem, Margaret Anadu, for your relentless leadership of equality. Carol, I still remember the day you asked me to join this board when you and Jessica Newert took me out for a cup of coffee, and I knew there was more to it than just that. It has been such a pleasure to delve into this work with you, watch how you lead with so much intention and passion, and teach us about intersectionality and inclusivity at every single level. I have learned so much from you, and I'm grateful to be doing this with you. Equality can't wait. Now more than ever, our country is so divided as equality has become a political battle. But it's more important than ever to have the Equal Rights Amendment codified into our Constitution so that no citizen can be denied on the basis of sex. Please join us in supporting this movement. Please join us as we honor our leader, Carol Jenkins, and wish her well as she's ready to trailblaze on her next journey. Carol, Kimberly, and I will continue to hold your flag up high and march forward to keep the fire of the ERA burning until the day it's codified in the American Constitution. And as you know, we will also keep pushing the concept of lived equality to let the world know what an equal future and an equal voice could look like. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol Jenkins, President and CEO of the ERA Coalition and the Fund for Women's Equality.
How do you spell equality? ERA! Gender equality in the Constitution for me means pay equity and a remedy for violence against women. The Equal Rights Amendment is what we need to finally establish that we are all full citizens of this country.
For years, everyone in the women's movement told me, you need to know Carol Jenkins. Then I finally sat down with you and found out why. You are the best fleecer of funds and talent I've ever met in my life. Who can say no to you?
Carol, as a child, I revered you as a journalist. As an adult, I revere you as an activist, and I followed in your footsteps in both. I cannot thank you enough for your commitment, for your excellence, and for your advocacy.
Carol Jenkins is a tremendous leader and connector. She brings people together, and she really, really shows up. Thank you, Carol, for your service, for your kindness and generosity, and for your vision. We love you.
Carol, I loved you from the moment I met you. You have the most warm and genuine personality.
Carol, it's been my good fortune to work with you, but not just to work with you to get the ERA across the finish line.
Carol, it's been a pleasure and an honor working with you. I am so appreciative of you giving me the opportunity to be part of such an amazing team. We're gonna miss you.
Carol has been a boss, a mentor, and friend who's inspired me every day to work harder and think bigger. Together, we've witnessed history, we've overcome obstacles, and found time every day to laugh.
Dear Carol, Thank you so much for being a light in my life. You already know that I refer to you affectionately as one of my movement mamas, and you are so much more. Because of you, we see who we can be, and we see that we can transform the world. We can transform the Constitution.
Carol, you have been role model of all role models. You have been such an incredible leader, galvanizing, bringing groups together on the steps of the Supreme Court and the U.S. Capitol. Thank you so much for being such a dear friend. You're also the most amazing, loving human being. Love you, Carol.
Carol, what can I say? Thank you so much for your leadership, your partnership, for your steady voice. I'm so grateful to all of the work that you have done and for bringing me into this organization and bringing me into this portion of the movement.
Dear Carol, thank you so much for what you've done for women, Black women, and us athletes. You've given me a platform to showcase my gymnastics foundation, and you've been so fabulous at our events. I so appreciate you. All the best.
Hi, Carol. We will miss you as you head off into new directions. We have been on quite a journey together. It's been fun, it's been hard work, but I'm sure we will stay in touch and continue this long and lovely friendship.
Thank you so much, Carol, for your guidance and leadership and friendship that you have given to me and so many other young people in the fight to certify the Equal Rights Amendment into the Constitution. You are an incredible, amazing leader, and I cannot wait to see where you go next and know that young people will always have your back.
I've met a lot of humans in my life, a lot of them really politically engaged, very important people, and other people who are so lovely and funny and fun and warm. It's rare that you find one human being that has all of those qualities. So when I met Carol, I thought, well, this can't even be true. This can't even be a real person who's so fun and so funny and such an important person in the world. Carol, I'm so lucky to know you. I know people say that a lot, but I'm so lucky to know you. My life is better. So many women's and humans' lives are better. You are just one of the greatest people ever.
When I first met Carol Jenkins, she was a famous news anchor here in the city of New York. So if you walked in the street with her, people leaned out of trucks to wave and say, "Hi, Carol." And she was, like a community member of the entire 6 million folks here. Dearest Carol, you are chosen family to me. And I'm so, so, so very grateful that I am a little older than you, so I will never have to live in a world without you in it.
Thank you so much, everyone, and especially to Kimberly and Mona for your kind words and your strong leadership of these organizations. Congratulations to our stellar honorees, Chair Maloney, Congresswoman Speer, and the late, great Senator Birch Bayh for all of his work. I can tell you from experience now that amending the Constitution of the United States is one of the harder assignments one can take on. But in the pursuit of equality, it is one of the most essential. We're a century in this work now, but we made it. I just want to thank every single person who engaged in this pursuit through the years, our boards, council, legal task force, legislators, and all of our coalition partners. Thank you. And a special thanks to Coalition founder and President Emerita Jessica Neuwirth, who invited me to join the founding boards of these organizations 8 years ago. And to Bettina Hager, our very first staff member, who's still with us and doing great work on the Hill. And our very tiny but very mighty staff of truly dedicated young women. You can be assured that your future is in great hands. Recently, as I was sending my small grandchildren off to a visit at Monticello, I told them to give my regards to Thomas Jefferson and to tell him that their Black grandmother was fixing the founding documents that he helped create 245 years ago. So while those founding fathers did leave a lot of people out, the indigenous, the enslaved, and women, they did give us a way to make things right. The Constitution has now been amended 27 times since its initial writing to correct all kinds of oversights, This 28th Amendment goes to the root of sexism in our society that has predetermined inequality for centuries. It is an honor to be a part of this work. I look forward to the next leadership team, the evolving stages of the mission of the coalition, and the fun putting the ERA into action. So many thanks to all of you out there for the support you've given and will continue to give in the achievement of our equal future.
Yeah. They all think they love Carol the most. Carol knows I love her the most. As the mother of a 25-year-old, I thank Carol from the bottom of my bottom for her limitless future. 100 years is too long, everybody. 50 years is too long. Up next are some very important and wildly talented voices on stage now in New York that reflect the change we want to see. Please welcome, we have the cast of Subs.
Hi, I'm Ali Benino. I play Lucy Burns. Hi, I'm Hannah Cruz. I play Ruja Venkleska. Hi, I'm Nadia Dandashi. I play Doris Stevens. We're from the production of Subs happening at the Public right now, and we wanted to extend our happiest and most heartfelt congratulations on the 50th anniversary of the signing of the ERA bill. The fight is still not over. The work that you are doing is so vital and important. It's never been more important, and we are so honored to be taking time out to thank you. We can't wait to see you downtown at the Public, and congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Well, I'm so sorry. That is a wrap on what we hope was an inspiring and informative evening. I know I had a great time. Look, we all know clearly the fight isn't over yet. We still need your help to get over this next and final hurdle of actually publishing the ERA as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. I hope that you will support our efforts and contribute today. No donation is too small. It's $28, $280, $2,800, $28 billion, $20,008, whatever you can afford. And here is how you can do it. Please don't get tired and click off to check your text during this time. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me, babe. I need to warm up. Stay with me, baby. This might be the most important moment we share together tonight. All right, please click the link in the chat to visit this link, fundforwomensequality.org. You can donate to make a contribution. Any size donation really can make a difference and will push us over into the deserved position of equality for all. Thank you all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support and caring about equality for all. I'm Judge Judy, and this was an honor.